Good evening, everybody. As mentioned, my name is Keanu Young. I'm the Assistant Coordinator of the Public Access Room, and I will be presenting tonight's presentation on orders of the day and floor session. It's kind of a fun presentation. It's a little bit short. I'll be available for questions after the presentation is done. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so this is our floor sessions and orders of the day presentation. Virginia Beck, the Public Access Room Coordinator, has really done a good job of having us produce more of these types of presentations because the public seems to enjoy them and they're very helpful. So we're going to talk about floor session and orders of the day today. Okay, so what is referred to as the order of the day is the agenda of a deliberative body. It's not the daily special at your favorite restaurant. In this case, the agenda, it's the agenda for what is taking place. It's the agenda of a deliberative body. In this case, it's the agenda for what is taking place on the floor of the Senate and on the floor of the House. The order of the day is available only on days when the legislature is convening in chambers, and they do that 60 times per legislative session. The House and Senate do not meet on recess days, which are just days that they decide amongst themselves that they're not going to meet or conduct any business in chamber. These are usually built around deadlines. They also don't have any floor sessions on weekends or on holidays. So what are recess days? Well, recess days are days when the House and Senate, again, do not convene in chamber. But the term does not mean that members are out goofing around. Instead, they participate in committee hearings, informational briefings, caucus meetings, meetings with constituents, and otherwise perform their legislative duties. So it's like a regular day at the Capitol, except there's no floor session in the House or in the Senate. And there are 60 days during the regular session, which begins on the third Wednesday in January and ends this year on May 5th. So to find out if a particular day is the session day, you can refer to the session calendar. This is the session calendar that we created, and this is available on the Public Access Room's website under the current legislature page. Session days are indicated by a small box in the lower right-hand corner. You'll notice that any date that does not have a box is noted as either a recess day, a holiday, or as a weekend day. To obtain the current order of the day, you're going to want to look to the top of the Hawaii State Legislature's homepage, right under the banner with the islands. You'll see the floor session convene times. The House and Senate usually have different convene times. The House usually meets at 12 p.m., 12 noon, and the Senate usually meets at 11:30. So the order of the day is usually posted an hour or so before the actual convening of floor sessions. So where can you find the orders of the day? To obtain the current order of the day, you're going to want to look at the top of the Hawaii State Legislature's homepage. Find the current order of the day. You want to go to the legislature's homepage and click on the order of the day tab. And these are the tabs in the middle of the page under the big recent updates box. If you want to find the order of the day for past sessions, just enter the appropriate date. In the center of the screen, you'll receive links to the House order of the day and the Senate order of the day. And they're abbreviated as HOD for House order of the day and SOD for Senate order of the day. Whenever you're using these files, you'll want to click on the PDF version because that's the version that they're actually using in chamber. You can click on the HTML versions, but they're not really clean. And so always use the PDF version if you are able to. You select the PDF version of the order of the day and you'll be able to view the page numbers. This is especially helpful if it's a long agenda and the Speaker, Senate President, or whoever's at the rostrum may be referring to pages, not page numbers as they are proceeding with the order of the day. You may also see links to supplemental documents. Often lists of referrals will appear as supplemental documents on the order of the day. The order of the day for the House and Senate will differ slightly because they just do things differently. On the left side, you can see an example of the Senate order of the day. They use Hawaiian language for a lot of the actions. And then the one on the right is the House order of the day. So again, just doing things a little bit differently. Okay, so the House and Senate do things differently, as was mentioned before. The order of the items that appear on the order of the day will differ. The order is specified in the House and Senate rules, and they're available by clicking on the House or Senate bars in the upper right-hand portion of the legislature's homepage. And then when you get to the House and Senate pages, there is a box where you can click on the rules and read how the orders of the day are set up. In addition, the format and inclusion of links differ between the chambers, as do the naming and formatting of supplemental documents. And again, the Senate uses a lot of Hawaiian language in their orders of the day. Okay, so invocations or moments of contemplation are usually done prior to the business agenda. And this is where legislators are offering, insight or, talking about that particular part of session. Again, this is done prior to the actual formal business. Okay, so for the orders of the day, routine items are dealt with first. The House or Senate will assist the presiding officer, which is the Senate President or House Speaker. And the roll call is recorded to see who is present in chamber. That starts things off. Messages from the other chamber, the governor and the judiciary are noted on the order of the day. Messages from the other chamber may just communicate passage of or action on bills or concurrent resolutions, enrolling of legislation to the governor, and that's legislation that has passed the legislature. Agreement or disagreement with measures and conference committee assignments and actions. Governor's messages may convey notification of bill signings, allowing bills into law without his signature, intent to veto messages, and veto messages. Governor's messages may convey nominations which are subject to the advise and consent function of the Senate. They may also relay departmental reports. And then judiciary messages may convey judicial nominations which are subject to the advise and consent function by the Senate, and they may also convey reports and other communication. So these are the things that are usually listed in the order of the day under routine items. If any floor presentations are scheduled, they will take place at the beginning of the agenda, usually followed by a recess to allow the members in the chamber to greet any honored guests. There are internal procedures that legislators follow to request floor presentations. The House and Senate do things differently. So the House may present formal resolutions honoring organizations or guests, whereas the Senate procedures call for certificates rather than resolutions. And this is an example of how it would look like on the order of the day. Okay, the introduction of bills and resolutions. The introduction of bills usually happen at the very beginning of session because there is a 1 week period for all bills to be introduced. And that is done from the first week of, from opening day to about a week out. Resolutions have a different deadline. They're usually introduced about the middle of session. So introduction of bills, concurrent resolutions, and resolutions will appear on the order of the day. Frequently, they will be noted by number only. Legislators have access to the legislation in paper and or electronic form. And just a note, while single chamber resolutions can take a variety of forms, one of their special uses is to establish leadership and rules of the chamber, and they're adopted by a majority of the members. So the House usually uses this to establish their committees and their officers, and they do that via resolution. Okay, standing committee reports. When a bill is passed out of a committee, the committee chair issues a committee report conveying the legislation back to the chamber and recommending further action. For a bill to proceed, the chamber accepts the report and votes to instigate the actions suggested. In rare cases, the chamber may vote to recommit the measure to the committee which it passed out, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So during floor sessions, right now, bills are going through readings, and so what happens is that when the committee reports are filed by the committees that the bill was just in, they'll request an action of the chamber, usually pass on second reading, refer to Committee on Ways and Means, pass on second reading, refer to the Committee on Finance. And so they're passing the bill on second reading, which is, again, the second of the 3 required votes in the chamber, and also accepting the committee report, voting to accept the committee report and its recommendations. And this is what they look like in the House and Senate. And they usually will be listed by standing committee report number. So when they're going through the order of the day and passing bills on second reading, you'll see the committee report listed, and they're taking action on the committee report and the recommendation of the committee report. Okay, for a bill to become law, it must pass 3 votes or 3 readings in each chamber. Again, the first reading is usually accomplished with the introduction of the bill. It's a formal part of the process, and there's no floor debate on the measure. The second reading takes place after 1 or more committee hearings. Debate on second reading differs by chamber. It's not uncommon in the House, but it is kind of rare for senators to have discussion on bills on second reading. Third reading on bills requires a 48 hours notice to members indicating that they will be asked to vote on the measure in its current form, and this is a constitutional mandate. On the bill status sheet, you'll often see an indication of 48 hours notice with a date, which advises anyone interested in the bill that this is the date that the bill is scheduled to be voted on. And so we get a lot of calls about that. It will say on the bill status page, 48 hours notice, 323, 324, 22. So the 48 hours notice is a notice to the public and also the legislators that a vote is taking place on third or final reading, and then they have the date of the vote listed after that 48 hours notice on the action on the bill status page. Final reading also requires 48 hours notice to members, and then for third and final readings, to pass, a bill must obtain a majority of the number of members of the chamber. For every other reading, just a majority of the present quorum of members will suffice. Okay. One of the Senate's unique roles is performed in exercising its advise and consent function in respect to certain executive and judicial appointments. These go through as either a GM or governor's message or JC or judicial communication. And this is a Senate function only. So you'll see this on the Senate order of the day. Announcements that appear on the order of the day include referral sheets, which a lot of people seem to like to see, and that's available on the homepage of the Capitol's website. Convene times, future floor amendments, and upcoming hearings. Additional information announcements may be included, wishing a member a happy birthday or inviting members to attend a community event. And these are the announcements that are listed on the order of the day. In moving legislation, numerous other items and actions may appear on the order of the day. The agree, disagree is when the chamber votes to agree or disagree with the changes that are made by the opposite chamber to a piece of legislation. Recall, which is when the chamber may vote to recall a bill from committee and bring it back to the floor for action. Recommitment, which is when the chamber may also vote to move a bill back to the committee which it just came from. Rereferral, which is when the chamber may change the committees to which a bill is referred. And adopting resolutions. The chamber may vote to adopt a single chamber resolution, which is just a House resolution or Senate resolution, so HR or SR, or a concurrent resolution, a House concurrent resolution or Senate concurrent resolution, so an HCR or an SCR. Resolutions do not have the force and effect of law, but they do express the will and intent of the chamber, of that chamber of the legislature. Okay, so agree, disagree. When an amended bill returns to its originating chamber, the chamber can either agree or disagree to the amendments that are made by the opposite chamber. If there is disagreement, which is usually the case for most bills, just for a formality, they just tend to disagree with everything. Those bills are referred to a conference committee for further consideration of areas of disagreement. The chamber can also reconsider their disagreement. In such cases, a vote to agree is taken and the bill is considered passed by the legislature and is sent to the governor. And so this is usually near the end of session where bills pass second crossover. This is the time where you'll see a lot of agree, disagree on the order of the day. Okay, recall from committee. This is House Rule 37 and Senate Bill Rule 52 that actually allows the chamber to recall a bill from a committee for floor action. Those can be recalled 20 days after referral if 1/3 of the chamber supports the recall. So if a bill is stuck in committee and the legislature, the powers that be at the legislature want to move the bill forward, they can recall the bill from the committee to the floor and take an action on it. And so those are some things that happen in floor session. They don't do that a whole lot. I don't recall them doing that very often in the past couple of years, but this is something that is available, a tool that is available to the House and Senate. Recommitment. So this is the action of sending a bill back to its last committee, and this requires a floor vote. When a bill is reported out of a committee, it usually goes to the floor of the chamber to be voted on or moved to its next committee. A motion to recommit may be offered when the bill is under consideration on the floor of the chamber for a vote. The recommitment requires a floor vote to succeed. Bills are recommitted for further work. For example, a short form bill may have been amended, but its content still needs to be heard by the committee, or a problem with the bill is identified after it has been reported out of the committee and they need to send it back to that committee. Okay, re-referrals are listed on the order of the day, and there are a couple of reasons for bills to be re-referred. The chair may want to hear a bill or waive their committee's right to hear a bill. The subject matter of a bill may have changed, in which case a re-referral is necessary. And then re-referrals can be made to bring bills that have died back to life. So this is the more common reasons for bills to be re-referred. Waiver of hearing notices. This is something that happens quite a bit, have been happening quite a bit recently. This doesn't appear on the order of the day, but this is coordinated with the clerk, and a request to waive the 48-hour notice requirement for hearings can be made to the House Speaker or Senate President, and they'll usually approve those waivers, and then hearing notices are filed, or they may have been filed the day before, and the hearings come up really quickly. So if you're watching floor sessions, pay special attention to waiver requests, because your bill might be on an agenda. Maybe it died, You're not focused on it. They waive the hearing notice requirement to hear it, and you're going to want to have an opportunity to testify on that. Okay, so on the floor, who gets to speak? When a member wants to speak, they rise and wait to be recognized by the presiding officer, which is the Senate President or Vice President or the House Speaker or the House Vice Speaker, whoever is on the rostrum holding the gavel. There may be limits on the amount of times members may speak on an issue and the amount of time they're allowed in doing so. Members always rise, and they're identified. Some members speak a lot more than others, but in the House, it's especially kind of fun to watch because they do a lot of debate. Okay, so for procedures on the floor, they're followed to maintain orderly debate and decision making. Motions are made and seconded. Motions are made and seconded by leadership. Members may rise for a point of order if they question the rules, or if they question that the rules are properly being followed. Members are expected to rise and ask for a ruling on any potential conflict of interest. And so these are some of the procedures that you see on the floor. Okay, so floor amendments. We're used to seeing bills changed by committees. They are passed with amendments, and the amendment version of the bill is published with the subsequent committee report. But bills can also be amended on the floor of the House or the Senate. If a bill is amended on third reading, we have to remember that it requires 48 hours before the bill can be voted on again. So this is what floor amendments look like. They're presented to the membership and they're voted on by the membership. This doesn't happen very often. Floor amendments are made a lot during the ending part of session when bills are right before they're going through third reading. We'll see a lot of floor amendments, but they're not usually taken up. Okay, so votes. Items to be voted on may be listed on the order of the day under a consent calendar. And in these instances, there has been previous discussion, perhaps in a caucus meeting, which determines that these items have considerable support, and may be passed without debate. And so during third reading on bills, you see a lot of bills on a consent calendar. For those bills, they don't have any debate on it. They agree that they're going to pass it without any debates. And then they usually put more controversial bills on a regular order of the day. So for consent calendar bills, the presiding officer will call for a vote on a list of the measures, and if the vote is successful, all measures on the list will be noted as having passed. Okay, votes. All members are required to vote unless they are excused. Votes that are aye with reservations will be counted as aye votes. Ayes are yes votes. Ayes with reservations are yes votes with concerns. Members may vote Kanalua if they are undecided on a measure. However, if they continue to vote Kanalua twice on a measure in the Senate or 3 times on a measure in the House, rather than an aye or a nay, which is a no vote, their vote ends up being counted as an aye vote. The way the vote is taken ranges from voice votes, which is quite prevalent, roll call votes, unanimous consent, which is the Senate way that the Senate votes, raising hands, and also standing or rising, which doesn't usually happen very often. Okay, I just wanted to point out that when you're wanting to look at the calendar to see when those big third reading days are, when they're voting on bills on third reading, anytime you see 2 recess days with a date in between, that date in between is the third reading day or final reading day. So April 12th will be a big third reading day, and those are for bills that are crossing back over to the originating chamber. So, and then on the 26th, that's a final reading. Actually, the third. This arrow didn't extend all the way down, but the third, that's where the House and Senate will do final reading on bills. So that's just a trick if you wanted to figure out when most of the third reading bills will go through and be voted on. Okay, so for customs, a few practices you may notice as you watch floor proceedings. Members must dress in court attire during floor presentations, except for Fridays where aloha attire can be worn. Court attire just means coat and tie for men and jackets for women. On the floor, members do not refer to another by name. Instead, they refer to each other as my colleague from District 43, the previous speaker, or my friend, my colleague from YNI. That's how they refer to other members. To move proceedings along, it is customary for members to ask to submit written comments into the journal, and that will appear in the House and Senate journal. And additionally, legislators may ask to adopt the comments of previous speakers, which happens quite a bit, as if as if those comments were their own. Okay, so what guides the proceedings? It's the state constitution, House and Senate rules, and the Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedures. Okay, the journals. The House and Senate publish journals of the proceedings. Everything that's happening on the House and Senate floor, they're a recording of things that are happening on the House and Senate floor, and they're published annually in large volumes. Copies are available in the Legislative Reference Bureau Library, located in the chamber level of the Capitol. Additionally, House journals can be viewed online. And for current House and Senate journal entries, you can click on the House or Senate tabs on the upper right-hand portion of the legislature's homepage. Then when it takes you to the House or Senate pages, you can select the year you're looking for and then the appropriate date to pull up the journals. And this is what they look like. So they're hard copy journal, hard copy rough draft volumes available. And then at the end of session, they compile all the drafts into one big booklet. And this is what it looks like. So you can see everything that's happened. Everything's recorded. Every action, every statement is recorded in the journal. Okay, to watch the proceedings, actually, we say one of the silver linings of the COVID pandemic is that the House and Senate now capture everything. So all the committee hearings, they capture all the floor sessions. Prior to that, we would schedule third readings for broadcasts and certain hearings, but now you can watch everything. So how to watch it? They're actually streamed on the House and Senate YouTube pages. So from the Capitol website, just click on the live and on-demand video tab as you see there. And then when it takes you to the on live and on-demand video page, you can select Senate YouTube channel or House YouTube channel to select the floor session that you want to watch. Again, the House is at 12 and the Senate is at 11:30. So when they're having large agendas, when you click on the order of the day and the agendas are long, then they'll have a lot more discussion. Sometimes floor sessions are just 10 minutes or so, depending on the business and what's on the order of the day. Okay, so that was a quick overview. For more information, or if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions after this. You can always contact us at 808-587-0478. We're open from 7:45 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And we get a lot of calls. There's three of us. There's myself and Virginia Beck, the Public Access Room Coordinator. And we have a session staffer, Ashley, who's working with us. So we are always happy to answer any questions that you may have about anything that's happening at the legislature. You can email us if you want to at par@capitol.hawaii.gov. We are happy to help you learn about the process and how to participate in helping the legislature make the best laws they can for the state of Hawaii. There's also lots and lots of information on our website. And the website address is lrb.hawaii.gov/PAR. And we have we sectioned off the different ways in which you can learn. We have a learn page that teaches you everything about how a bill becomes law. So every part of the process is listed there. The Engagement 101 page, we have videos on how to walk people through doing different things on the website, signing up for hearing notices, submitting testimony, creating measure tracking lists. And then our current legislature page is a popular page because we have all of our current legislative information on that page. We have a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, and also a Twitter account. So we're getting a lot of more information out, and we're doing a lot more of these types of presentations. So if there's anything that we haven't covered yet, feel free to call us and let us know and ask us, if we can present PowerPoint presentation on something that we haven't covered, and we'll be happy to create that for you. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I am available for questions if anybody has them.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much. This is extremely, extremely useful. And I also went last week and was just blown away by all the information being delivered to me in such
there's a lot on that one.
Helpful format. So one question I have is about floor amendments. So the only way that we would know if that is happening is if we look at the order of the day, or if we look at the page for that bill, because we're not going to get a hearing notice.
Yeah, you actually have to be watching it. Sometimes it's listed on the order of the day, or somebody will make a motion to do that. Those are really kind of hard to keep track of. Sometimes you'll get noticed by if legislators know you're following a particular bill and they get word of it prior to the actual amendment. They may call you or email you, say, hey, just letting you know this may come up tomorrow. So those are a little bit hard to keep track of. We usually find out after the fact when we're actually watching the floor session.
Thank you. Can I ask another one?
Yeah, ask any question.
Okay. So my attention wavered a little bit when you were talking about consent calendars, and then you said that the controversial ones are usually on the regular order of the day. So where are the consent ones? They're on somewhere separate?
Okay, yeah, so I should have, clarified what I was saying. So every day that isn't a big third reading day, there's just a regular order of the day. But on the big third reading days, there is actually two calendars. There's on the order of the day, you'll see a consent calendar, and those are for passing bills on third reading where they have already agreed that they're not going to have discussion on, they're going to move the bills forward. And then they have an ordinary calendar, which is like a regular session day where they can have debate. So those are only on the third reading, like big third reading days.
So you would see a link on the order of the day to a separate document. That's the consent calendar?
It'll actually be, the consent calendar will actually be listed on the order of the day, usually at the beginning. So usually they have all the bills that they're going to pass on consent at the beginning, and then like in part one of the order of the day. And
okay, but it's in the same document.
It's in the same document.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Those are all
you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, I have a chat. I have a comment here in the chat. Okay, hold on. Oh, Midori's asking a question. If she should wait until the third reading day to make written testimony. So your testimony will always be submitted to the committee. That said, members of the public can contact House and Senate members at any time. And if you wanted to talk to legislators about a particular bill on the order of the day that may be controversial that they're voting on, you can use these two email addresses. If you use SENS, SENS at capital.hawaii.gov, that'll send your email to all 25 senators. If you wanted to send an email to all 51 representatives, you use the email address reps, R-E-P-S, at capital.hawaii.gov. And so your testimony will be submitted to committees. During the floor readings, there is no opportunity for you to testify, for the public to testify. That said, they can communicate with members of the House or Senate via email prior to a floor vote. Does anybody have any other questions? And if you guys have questions that come up after the fact, please feel free to just email us or call us. You know, we've pretty much seen everything that happens at the Capitol. Virginia has a really fun presentation next week called Things That Happen, and we'll show you all the crazy things that we've seen over the years in the Bill to Law process. But, you know, this is, like I said, this is more of a kind of fun one. A lot of people don't know what really happens on the floor or the order of the day. So hopefully you have a little bit of a better understanding about how they, you know, pass bills on readings and, you know, accept committee reports and that kind of stuff. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? You guys are good. Hopefully, did you guys learn something today? I mean, was it helpful? Was the presentation helpful? Sometimes we do like surveys after the fact, but I forgot to put one together. So if this presentation was helpful, let us know. Thank you, John. And then again, if you guys have ideas for anything that we haven't covered, feel free to ask us, and you know, we can create that presentation. We usually do conference committee presentations during the conference, right before the conference period. So that one we'll just do automatically, and we'll present that one as well. That's good. I'm glad everybody learned something. It's been really hectic at the Capitol this past couple weeks, especially with everybody in the building. So the building has been reopened. Right now, they're still screening the public, and so negative COVID test result within 72 hours of entering the building, or showing your vaccine card. I know things may go away, you know, maybe soon, where the screening is going to go away. So if you guys are ever in the building, feel free to come up. We're located in room 401, which is the Malka Eva side of the building. And we're open from 7:45 to 6 p.m. Actually, the building closes at 5 p.m. So we're open to the public from 7:45 to 5 p.m. And then, you know, you guys can always call us or email us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Okay? So if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to end the presentation. Thanks to all of you for joining me tonight. And don't be strangers. Hopefully I'll see you guys at the Capitol. Good night, everybody. Thank you.